Hi, I'm here with Dr. Marcus Alexander from the Pembroke School District in Illinois. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're at the CUBE conference here in Atlanta, and it's a great program, a lot of topics being covered, but we have people walking around here with masks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really still in the COVID pandemic era. And kids going back to school with face masks, distancing, has to be a big challenge for your district. So could you describe what those challenges are and how you address those in your district?
I think the biggest challenge is the humanistic factor, right? Everybody wants to feel safe.
Right.
Everybody wants to know that this environment is conducive to my health.
Right.
And I think that's been the biggest challenge. Despite what you say, despite the structures you put in place, people still have fear. And as a superintendent, I think that's been one of my biggest challenges, just making sure that there are systems and structures in place that will alleviate and relieve that fear. I can't expect a student to learn if they're fearful. I can't expect a teacher to teach if they're fearful. So that's been one of the biggest challenges. And I look at it as an adult problem. Kids don't understand what goes into wearing a face mask. They just know that they have to do it because we told them to. But they don't understand the ramifications of being too close, possibly being contaminated, exposed, and now we have to quarantine, and they don't get all of that.
Right.
So it's a challenge because you're trying to keep some level of normalcy intact while living in this world of uncharted territory.
So as a large employer, which the district is, how do you make sure that all your employees, from bus drivers to janitorial to teachers, are all vaccinated? Is that easy?
No, I would be the first to tell you that's been a challenge. And I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical in the beginning. The science and new technology. But I said to myself, I'm around hundreds of people every day, and I don't know their whereabouts. I don't know their health conditions. So I need something to protect me and my family. So I just try to be as human as possible.
Obviously, your resources are limited. And when you look outside for the federal resources, they may or may not be there. So you're really relying on state resources. So what kind of resources are actually getting to you from the state that you can depend on?
So in our case, my district is a small rural district, high-low income poverty level. So we've benefited both from state and federal funding. And what we've decided to do in our building was really to prepare to open up fully for students, get our facilities in a way that we're doing projects that we could have probably never done based on regular funding. We're doing things that are going to make us more sustainable and long lasting in the future. I'll give an example. My building is old, and it was built with standalone heating units, no HVAC.
Oh, wow.
So there's no air circulation.
No
ventilation.
ventilation. Doesn't meet the
which
code.
does not meet the code, which also is another risk factor on making people feel safe, right? So one of the projects the board and I have undertaken is just totally redoing HVAC in the building. We're putting it there, not fixing it. We're bringing it for the first time. So we've been very fortunate to have the resources from the ESSER grants and from the state government, almost rebuilding our district inside out.
So the Health Life Safety Program?
It's still there.
Still there?
It's still there, but we're taking advantage of having a lot of more autonomy and doing some of the things that you would like to see done. My students came back to school in August and they were just amazed. The building looked totally different. It had a new coat of paint on it. New accessibility. We have water fountains that fill up bottles. Kids like, how am I gonna put paper in here and shoot water everywhere? That doesn't work anymore. So it's been a really good process. I'm really appreciative of the support and leadership that I've received from my board. That's one level of politics I have not had to deal with, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. I try to tell my story. I try to appease, people's feelings. Listen, I wasn't there either, But the reality is that we have to do something to minimize the spread and the severity of this disease. It's been very difficult. Most recently in the state of Illinois, the governor gave a directive that said that everybody had to be vaccinated.
Right.
And if you didn't, ...
Yeah.
you know. And as the leader of the district, that ... scares me.
Yeah.
But in reality, I've been able to have some real serious conversations with a lot of my staff and change some minds. And it's one of those, you may not understand it, you may not agree with it, but you have to understand that this is a benefit to us all.
Yeah.
It's tough. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a real striking question about the impact of the vaccine in schools. But more than anything, I will say that probably 85% of my staff is vaccinated. It reduces a level of fear and anxiety. If I do get it, which could still happen,
Sure.
it may not be as bad, and I can live through it. So I think that's the saving grace of it. But it's a tough conversation, and it's a tough bill to sell.
Well, you had mentioned the word, you told your story. And storytelling is so powerful.
Yeah.
From someone that walks the walk and has those same feelings. So to change perceptions,
Absolutely.
it's really tough.
Yeah.
Don't confuse me with the facts, as people say.
Yeah.
They've already made up their mind.
And I think that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Because we hear what the media tells us, we see what's going on in the news, and you make up your mind. But the reality is that during COVID, I've buried probably 15 to 20 friends, and
No kidding.
that doesn't feel good.
Wow. Sorry.
And the reality is that I could be next,
Yeah.
or someone in my house could be next. So I have to take every step possible to minimize the risk and to really maximize my ability to fight off whatever's out there.
So as the superintendent and the leader of the district, you also have a board of education. And I'm sure they deal with politics
Oh yeah.
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So are there any other unusual politics that come up that they're faced with that you haven't mentioned?
I think this entire situation has been political.
Yeah.
And highly politicized in the fact that we've moved away from health and well-being. We moved away from teaching and learning. And a lot of it is about how does this impact our country, our state, our town politically. And from a school perspective, that's tough. That's very tough when a lot of the decisions that are made are politically charged. A lot of the decisions that are made are not necessarily based on best practice in schools or what we know to be as best practice. And I think that makes it even more challenging.
Right. Definitely does.
There's politics in everything we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just by nature of how our world is designed. There's politics everywhere. But the thing that I always emphasize is that keep your mind on what's important. And that's children.
Yeah.
And if it does not make sense for children, then it should not make sense in a school environment. I think that's important to understand because it's very easy to get caught up in grown-up issues, right? But a lot of grown-up issues have no real impact on children. And sometimes they have a negative impact on children. And this pandemic has really shown that we focus a lot on things that really are not that significant. We talk about we want the kids to come back to school, but a lot of our staff want to stay home. Well, if it's good enough for children to be here, why you can't come?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why can't you perform your duty in a face-to-face environment?
Right.
And so I've really just picked up a new perspective on just the work of education. Like, our kids need it. That's the first part. They need the face-to-face interaction. They need that touch, that closeness from a teacher. And no matter how far we've gotten off into technology, we still have to teach children and build that intimate relationship with them in order for them to understand that there's somebody that cares about me. I think that's one of the things that has been resounding is that teaching and learning is more than what's on the curriculum. It's the relationship. It's the ability for a kid to know that my teacher cares. My teacher wants to see me in this, in this facility. And I think the other part of it is show parents that I have to play a part in this process as well. Some of our parents became certified teachers overnight
Wow.
out of necessity, and the hardest thing for them was, I don't know what I'm doing. So I think we all have learned a lot in this pandemic, and I hope that through the challenges and the struggles that we've had, that we utilize that adversity, because that's really what it was, all of these adverse conditions, we utilize that to craft a better world of education for all of our students.
Right.